We don't know about you, but we're still reeling from all of Marvel's Comic-Con announcements. Mahershala Ali as Blade, Natalie Portman as Thor, great stuff. There was a ton of big news, but a small detail that WandaVision and Doctor Strange 2 are connected could finally reveal how Marvel is planning to bring mutants into the MCU. Stay tuned for all the details on this intriguing theory. And yeah, we will be focusing on a specific popular adamantium-clawed mutant as well.
What kind of monster are you? The Wolverine.
In case you missed the news, at their Comic-Con presentation, Marvel unveiled the titles of several new films, including a Doctor Strange sequel. It's set to be released in 2021 and is subtitled The Multiverse of Madness. Having the word multiverse in the title of an MCU film was exciting enough.
I'm sorry, you're saying there's a multiverse?
But our interest was piqued even more when Kevin Feige announced WandaVision, a new series on Disney+. Not much has been confirmed about WandaVision, only that Olsen is set to return, joined by Paul Bettany, who plays Vision. Other than the cast, information about the series is extremely limited. So much so that Paul Bettany doesn't seem to even know what it's about. When WandaVision was announced, Kevin Feige also revealed that it would be released shortly prior to Doctor Strange 2 and will set up the film. This got fans' minds racing, and it was only a matter of time before theories about the new series started popping up. The general consensus among comic book nerds, fans, is that WandaVision will be an adaptation of House of M, a massive Marvel Comics event from 2005. The series is pretty complex, but we need to go through a little bit of it in order to get to the heart of the theory, that Scarlet Witch will introduce mutants to the MCU. Anyway, House of M, written by Brian Michael Bendis and penciled by Oliver Coipel, finds Scarlet Witch coming off of an extreme mental breakdown. Since Vision is an android, he was unable to produce children, so Scarlet Witch magically created 2 of them. Unfortunately for her, and you really hate when this happens, her children were revealed to be pieces of a demon named Master Pandemonium. Master Pandemonium reabsorbed Wanda's children into his soul, which understandably upset Wanda. Then, a witch named Agatha Harkness erased Wanda's memories so she would be able to destroy Master Pandemonium without knowing her children were part of him, which is sad. When the mind-wiped Wanda is reminded of her children, she understandably doesn't take it well and ends up pretty unstable. Scarlet Witch's reality-altering abilities, even more powerful in the comics than the films, make her extremely dangerous. In her vulnerable and volatile state, many of Marvel's heroes view her as a danger to the entire universe. Quicksilver thinks the Avengers are planning to off his sister and rushes to tell their father, Magneto. Hearing this, Magneto kidnaps the nearly comatose Wanda in an attempt at rescue. When the Avengers and X-Men discover that Wanda is missing, they're blinded by a white light and slowly disappear. When Wolverine awakens, he discovers an entirely new world. Mutants are treated as superior beings, while humans are discriminated against in their stead. Realizing he's the only one who remembers the old world, Wolverine has to convince his old friends to help set things right. A whole bunch of other stuff happens that we don't have the time to get into here, but here's the important part. Magneto pisses off Scarlet Witch, and in an act of retaliation, she restores the old status quo, with one wrinkle. After declaring no more mutants, Wanda removes the mutation from 90% of Earth's mutant population, leaving only a handful running around in the Marvel Universe. We'll dig into the implications of all that in a second, but first we have a quick question. Is MCU Wanda powerful enough to do all that? And if so, what are her powers exactly? Let's take a look at the comics and see if we can clear anything up. Scarlet Witch's powers were originally referred to as hex powers, meaning she could curse opponents with bad luck and cause unlikely things to happen to them. Eventually, her powers were retconned to being chaos magic from another dimension that was more within her control. Still later, her powers were defined by the ability to alter reality, which is much of the basis of House of M, where she is extremely powerful. And Kevin Feige has even dropped hints that the MCU Wanda is just as powerful.
You took everything from me.
Our old pal Kevin, the man with the plan in Marvel Studios, said recently that Scarlet Witch could have taken down Thanos, and he may be letting slip that Wanda is more powerful than we think. So it's possible that MCU Wanda would be able to alter reality in the same way that comic book Wanda can. And if that's the case, what ideal universe would she make for herself? Probably one with Vision in it. We saw Wanda and Vision taking a stab at domestic life briefly in Civil War before being rudely interrupted by the Black Order. Could Wanda imagine a similar new normal for her and the handsome, more humanoid Viz? It seems likely, and we're sure Paul Bettany would appreciate not having to spend an extra week in the makeup chair. There's a bit of comic book precedent for this too. In a critically acclaimed 2015 storyline written by Tom King, Vision attempts to create a human family and gives him a new life in the suburbs. It explored ideas of normalcy and conformity, and we wouldn't be surprised if it serves as inspiration for WandaVision. The idea of characters' ideal lives has interesting implications for other Marvel characters too, and WandaVision could easily rope in more Avengers for cameos.
You're pulling your punches.
Seeing our favorite characters' ideal lives could be an interesting inverse to the nightmare sequences from Age of Ultron. If cameos were too expensive a proposition for WandaVision, then Wanda creating a House of M scenario could set the stage for Doctor Strange, and that film could find everyone in a strange new reality. If you recall from a few minutes ago, Wanda gets angry at her dad Magneto, and while she renews the normal Marvel universe, she erases most of the mutants from it. Which begs the question, could she do the reverse? If Wanda is powerful enough to create new realities and erase the mutant gene from millions of people, could she not create mutants? We think so, but why would she do that? Well, we have an outlandish theory. It's wild speculation. You probably don't want to hear it. Okay, if you insist. If WandaVision takes inspiration from the 2015 Vision comic as we predict it will, it may find Scarlet Witch and Vision attempting to build a typical suburban family. And if it follows the comic closely, that will not go well. If, like the comic, Vision and Wanda's families are shunned for being different, could it provoke Wanda to make everyone different? Could she create a world where everyone who judged her family for their differences were now different themselves? There isn't a lot of basis for this, but it feels like it could be the culmination of Wanda's arc. Since Civil War, Wanda has clearly felt persecuted, first after being blamed for the disaster in Lagos, then living as a fugitive at the beginning of Infinity War. Wanda has lashed out at her fellow Avengers before, but if enough resentment builds up, she could easily lash out at the entire world. Beyond her motivations, Wanda's powers could also help with a key part of the X-Men's backstory. In House of M, Wanda not only changes reality, she creates an entire alternate history, where every character has lived a different but completely full life. The X-Men as characters require decades of discrimination built into their story, which is why it's such a challenge to introduce them into an established universe 10 years in. But if Wanda could provide that history to them, snap her fingers and create a new race of people with their own history, that would solve a lot of narrative problems. Even if Wanda sprung the mutant gene on a bunch of pre-existing human teenagers, the societal impact would be huge, and could lead to all kinds of interesting storylines. But the most interesting part of the alternate history aspects of Wanda's power is how they could affect the people around her. It seems like a sure thing that she'll resurrect Vision, but what about her brother Quicksilver?
You didn't see that coming.
Even if it wasn't a permanent change, we could easily see Aaron Taylor Johnson signing up for a brief, heartfelt cameo. This adds another intriguing wrinkle, also related to Wanda's family. In Age of Ultron, it's revealed that Wanda and Pietro's MCU parents were killed by a bomb made by Tony Stark.
It's painted one word. Stark.
In Wanda's dream reality, would she not bring them back? And if you're familiar at all with the comics, or you were just listening when we talked about House of M for 15 minutes, you'll know that Wanda's father is none other than Magneto. If Wanda creates an alternate reality and folds parts of it back into the mainstream MCU, would she not bring her father with her? And if she was handing out mutant powers, wouldn't her dad be first in line? She could create Magneto, and that's to say nothing of her mother from the comics, Momnito. Okay, so we made up Momnito, but if Marvel is watching, that copyright is for sale. Introducing Magneto into the Marvel Universe is a great opportunity for future storylines, and since his MCU death was caused by Tony, he would have a built-in reason to hate the Avengers. But beyond magnet-related shenanigans, are there larger implications to Wanda's ability to fold realities into each other? Why yes, we're glad you asked! Spider-Man Far From Home spoilers to follow in the next few seconds. Think fast! The idea of a multiverse was first introduced in Spider-Man Far From Home as a lie, but put forward by Mysterio to explain who he was.
You don't want any part of this.
Still, it piqued the interest of fans and caused speculation as to what characters could be waiting there. Not only does it allow for any popular X-Men character to be imported into the MCU, but it could allow visits from characters like Miles Morales or even past versions of Peter Parker. But back to the main story, where does the aftermath of House of M leave Scarlet Witch? In an interesting place. Once again, her memory has been wiped, this time presumably by herself, and she's living a secluded, normal life. Barring any involvement in Doctor Strange 2 or even as part of that film, is it possible that this could be Elizabeth Olsen's path out of the MCU? Could a memory-wiped Scarlet Witch and Vision live out a normal life with no knowledge of their powers? It certainly seems possible. Though they were both drawn back into the Avengers later in the comics, this could serve as a beautiful conclusion for both characters. Plus, it would leave the option of them being brought back later on. Anyway, that's our theory as to how Marvel could use WandaVision to adapt House of M and invert the end of the story into a way to create mutants rather than destroy them. So what do you think about the theory? Is it plausible? How should Marvel introduce mutants into the MCU? Who should play Magneto? Leave a comment below and let us know. Subscribe to ScreenRant for more great Magneto content. And all that other great Marvel content as well. Thanks for watching.